I want you to go and get a spoon, get bunches of keys, get broken clocks, broken watches, things that are broken in your home, and bring them to the computer, bring them to wherever you're watching this. Before we, also broken telephones, before we end the show, I'm going to do an experiment with you at home. And let's see how many of you will be able to bend spoons.
What's happening, people? Today's guest is Uri Geller, the world's most famous mystic. Newly declassified documents showed that in 1973, the CIA tested on him to assess whether or not he had psychic powers. For the last 40 years, he has been working with intelligence agencies like the FBI, CIA, and Mossad, the Israeli intelligence. Uri realized that he had special powers at the age of 5 when he bent a spoon with his mind. My friends, you are about to witness an insane podcast. This podcast is probably one of my favorite. I really didn't have to say much of anything because Uri is an incredible storyteller, and you got to watch this one. That's about all I got to say. Enjoy.
The Way of Will John.
Uri, thanks for being here, man. I am super crazy excited. What's going on?
Hey, everything is okay. I'm actually sitting in my museum in Old Jaffa. Old Jaffa is like a town, a community outside Tel Aviv. And you've been in Ashdod, one of the main cities here in Israel, so you know. And Old Jaffa is 6,000 years old. It's the oldest port in the Middle East. And I came back with my wife, Hannah, 6 years ago. We lived for almost 48 years overseas. We lived in New York for 10 years, 35 years in London, in England, and 1 year in Japan. That was an amazing experience. So here we are. I will make, later on, I'll take my iPad and I'll do some interesting shots for you so you'll be able to see some amazing things here.
Yeah, you've lived an absolutely incredible life and obviously continue to do so. And so what I wanted to do is take people back because there will be some of these people, a lot of these people actually might know you from the football world. I mean, we've got a huge group of guys that are into football and we'll get into that. But I want to give everybody some background onto who you are, how you realized you had some abilities, how you developed those. And I got some questions on there, but tell us how you knew you could do some of this stuff that you do.
Okay, well, I was 5 years old. And here in Tel Aviv, I was playing in an Arabic garden, and out of nowhere, I saw a sphere of light, and a sort of a laser beam struck me. I know this sounds science fiction-y and crazy and unbelievable, but it's very vivid in my memory. And I didn't know what it was. It was so powerful that it pushed me into the grass. I ran home to tell my mom. She didn't believe me. And with this story stuck to me, embedded in my mind, body, and soul, I used to tell this story all the time, but it was coming from me and it was hard to believe. And about 15 years ago, I get an email from an Israeli Air Force officer who says to me, "Hey, Uri, I just saw you on the BBC. There was a documentary about me and you're telling this story. Well, I want to tell you that I was a young soldier and I was walking back to my parents' home on the boulevard where this Arabic garden was, and I saw you, and I saw the sphere of light, and I saw the beam, and I saw you running home. Wow, that was, for me, was mind-blowing because for the first time, someone is validating a kind of a science fiction story that I was telling everyone. And very soon after that, Will, I was eating soup. I must have been 6.5. And as I was lifting the spoon up to my mouth, it started bending and it broke into the soup. That was the first time I realized that probably I have some ability. School, I freaked out kids. Teachers were amazed. My mother, strangely enough, Will, wasn't surprised because I come from Sigmund Freud's family, you know, the psychologist.
Yes.
My name in my British passport is Uri Geller Freud. That's how it all started.
Wow. And so when that first spoon bending experience, it kind of happened to you. You weren't sure of your effect. When did you start to actually bend spoons consciously? When did that become I can control what I have?
Wow, Will, that's a brilliant question. Listen, I've been interviewed thousands of times. Nobody ever asked this question the way you did.
All right.
That's brilliant. You're a great host, great presenter.
Thank you.
So I guess in school I was showing off with my powers. That I used to move the clock on the wall, but later on, my life was very roller coaster. My parents divorced. My mother took me to Cyprus. I lived in Cyprus for almost 6 years. Came back, and in Cyprus, Mossad, the Israeli CIA, they found out that my mother and me and myself, we were running a tiny hotel because my stepfather owned this hotel, but he died just like a year after my mother got married to him in Cyprus. And Mossad turned our tiny bed and breakfast hotel into a Mossad safe house. So there were Mossad agents coming in and out, flying off to Arab countries to spy. And one of them was really influential. He influenced my life. And he told me, I bent a spoon for him. I read his mind. And he said, Uri, wow, how are you doing? What's this? Is this a power you have? And I said, yes, I had it since I was a child. And he says, look, you go back to Israel when you're 18, join the paratroopers, go to officer school, and then find me. I'll get you into Mossad. Wow. First of all, he also freaked out that I knew that he was a Mossad agent. So, long story short, I go back to Israel, join the paratroopers, go to officer school, and then in the middle of the officer school, I open the newspaper to read the news, and I see that this man, his name was Yoav Shaham, shot dead, a bullet right through his helmet. That shattered my dreams. No more Mossad and so on.
Wow.
But hey, when I started performing, Mossad did come after me. And they were extremely interested in how I brought them information in an unconventional manner. But we're talking about 1969. No iPhones, no internet. They didn't even have the tools to put electrodes on my head. What do? They call the CIA. And they ask the CIA to test my powers. CIA jumps on the idea because they say, well, if there's somebody, Uri Geller in Israel, maybe there's somebody like him in Russia. Out of all the people in the world, they send Captain Edgar Mitchell, the astronaut, the sixth man to walk on the moon, to convince me to leave Israel. That started it all. I leave 1972, straight to him. I befriend him. We become really close. That's where all my knowledge about UFOs, extraterrestrials, Dr. Werner von Braun, and, I've seen things that simply blew my mind. And that's the story. But I didn't want to be a guinea pig. They tested me, Stanford Research Institute, Palo Alto. There are films on my website. You can see the secret test that the CIA conducted with me. But I wanted show business. I wanted to be rich and famous. Yeah. I was on an ego trip. And I started doing all the TV shows, and then the skeptics attacked me. Johnny Carson. I was sitting on Johnny Carson for 22 minutes, humiliated. The spoon just bent very little. He was scoffing. He was a skeptic. And I thought my career is destroyed. And I was about to pack up and go back to Tel Aviv when I kind of thought I failed on Johnny Carson. The next day, in the Hilton Hotel in Los Angeles, I'm packing up because I was finished. I thought, wow, that's it. Everybody in America saw me fail. The phone rings and the operator says, Mr. Geller, I have a Merv Griffin on the line for you. Merv Griffin was as big as Johnny Carson. And I say, what? Is it the Merv Griffin? Yeah. So I get on the line. He says, Uri Geller, I saw you last night on Johnny Carson. I want you on my show this week. That's when I realized, Will, there's no such thing as bad publicity. Controversy was good for me.
I see.
And that's when I started performing.
Yeah. And I've seen I might have even actually seen the Johnny Carson clip. I've seen plenty of documentary. You truly are out there in a way that I think is truly impressive, especially for somebody in your position, because yes, number one, the skeptics are going to attack you, and we'll get into how you have dealt with that, and also some of the whether or not science has been able to corroborate some of your claims. And as a matter of fact, we had previously, we had Dean Radin, Dr. Dean Radin,
I know
on, who is the head. You know him. Okay, I figured you might, because I feel like in that time frame, he was over doing research that you guys may have run into each other. And I asked the question to him essentially that, how come this is still being pushed against? And so we might as well just ask it now. Like, we live in a time now where, like you said, back then, even Israel didn't have, I mean, as strong as they are, they didn't have the tools to test what was going on. Now, all these years later, we're in a position now, I would hope, that a large portion of the world, and definitely the US, has a chance to test this. Why do you feel that I should just ask you, do you feel that there are more skeptics now? Are there more believers? Is this proven now more scientifically? Is there more backing? Or where do we stand?
Okay, that's a very good question. Look, the whole parapsychological research went deep black, meaning Pentagon, NSA, CIA, all the big other Chinese secret service, English, German, Japanese. You know, I started the first paranormal department for Sony. I met the founder of Sony, Mr. Ibuka, who I have some interesting things that he gave me in the museum. But already in 1973, they were interested in the paranormal. So the paranormal.
You mean Sony, the electronic?
Yeah, Sony TVs, yeah, radios and TVs. I mean, if you didn't know it,
yeah,
I started the first secret paranormal department for Sony. If you Google Sony parapsychology,
sure,
you'll see it. So
okay.
So going back to today, so the governments prefer to study these the paranormal secretly, because when I was validated by the CIA, I mean, I have here. I'll just read you. I think we sent it to you. What the CIA said about me, the conclusion.
Yes.
They basically said, I've been tested and it's 100% real. So then the scientists were being attacked by skeptics, and the forces around, the government forces, didn't like that. They wanted to have grants being given to scientists to study the paranormal. So they preferred to take it down deep black. Nobody knows about it, but it's being studied right now. As we speak, there are remote viewers who are doing remote viewing, or especially now with the Ukraine war going on. I mean, I know things that, again, will freak you out, but we can't talk about it openly because it's very confidential and it's very secretive. But no, there are less skeptics now because, hey, there's proof coming in all the time that ESP works, that psychokinesis works. Listen, I'll tell you an amazing story. I was being tested by MI5, and I managed to dematerialize a tiny piece from point A to B, but it went through a wall, and that information was sent to NSA. I don't have to tell you what the NSA is, National Security Agency.
Of course.
And they were so interested in it. And these are just released documents that were top secret. Now you can read them all. They were making this calculation. If the power of the mind can move an object psychokinetically or dematerialize it and materialize it elsewhere, no matter how small it is, then what's a big deal to dematerialize big objects? So they had a plan to take 10, call me psychic, call me whatever you want to, intuitives, remote viewers, to take 10 people like me. Now hold on, because this is like, it's taken out of a bad science fiction film. And they wanted us to try to make a Russian city disappear. This is true. This is in the NSA document.
Disappear how, though? Disappear from the view or disappear completely? Like,
completely.
They wanted you guys to make it so no one could see it. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, this is, we're dealing here with quantum mechanics, quantum entanglement. We're dealing here with superpowers. Will, everything that you see in science fiction films, it's not science fiction. All gonna come true. I mean, come on. Arthur C. Clarke, 2001 Space Odyssey.
Right.
I know Richard Branson, he was here. I have Jeff Bezos's rocket in my downstairs room. So we're advancing with huge leaps. And parapsychology, the paranormal, is becoming real and actual and valid.
So tell me then more about this. This is something I'm definitely curious, because someone that can do things like this at your level has to have a training regimen or something that is you must have throughout the course of your life, from boom, just having these powers thrust upon you to the point where you are now, where you could do a whole lot more than you could when you were 5, I can imagine. Did you or do you have some sort of training regimen to train to make yourself better at this? What do you do? Is it meditation? Do you have to go to the gym? Is there a gym for psychic powers? And, because I'm sure everybody wants to know, A, can the normal people, can anybody else that doesn't have an experience like this develop it? And B, what are you doing exactly to try and make yourself a better intuitive or psychic, like you said?
Well, Will, I'm so used to it that I don't do anything to enhance my powers. I'm a vegetarian. I'm a vegan. Started vegetarian, became a vegan.
Mm-hmm.
I do exercise every day. Yeah, I'm 75, Will. Yeah. So I do aerobics.
Incredible.
I lift a few weights, but I have a regime of exercise every day. But that's not to empower my energies. It's just to stay healthy. Today, look, it's the spoon that started off my career. Yes.
Yeah.
And let me show you how this worked.
Okay.
In 1973, I was still with the CIA, and I get a phone call from the BBC in London. BBC is huge television station. Mr. Geller, we're inviting you to London. Show us your powers. I jump on. Wow! I say BBC. Of course, I fly to London because I was living in New York then, and I sit down, and the presenter gives me a spoon, and he says, "Okay, Mr. Geller, show us your powers." I didn't realize, Will, that there were 30 million people watching the show. 30 million. So I hold the spoon, and exactly this way, I suddenly come up with an idea.
Sure.
I look into the camera, and I scream, "Everybody at home, go and get your spoons." I sent, and go and get your broken watches. Out of 30 million people, I sent 15 million people to the kitchen. Everybody runs and gets a spoon and a broken watch. And let me show you what happened. I place my finger very gently on the metal.
Okay.
This spoon is made in China. So, and I put energy into it, but no heat. No heat is produced. And very soon the metal is going to become,
all right.
It will become soft. Hold on, give me a second. There, it's beginning. I can feel it. As you can see the ball.
Yeah.
Look, let me hold it like this. It's becoming so soft.
I see it. Yes.
And if I shake it now, there, it's gone. There it is. Just broke. Let me bend you the handle. Hold on.
Okay.
Look.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm trying to get it into the camera. There. There it is.
That's insane.
And this will continue bending for another maybe a minute. But wait, now let me complete the story. When that spoon broke and exploded on the BBC, in the basement, there was the telephone system operators. The telephone system blows up, not because of me, but hundreds of thousands of people are calling the BBC in a panic. Oh my God, my spoon. Look, you see, it's still going. It's almost 90 degrees.
Yeah.
My watch started ticking. My grandfather clock, I started ticking. It hasn't worked for 100 years. And it was a mass hysteria. People said the lights were flickering, the television was shaking. And that's when I realized, wow, everybody must have this power, because it wasn't my energy that was flying through the airwaves into people's homes. I was acting as a trigger. I was a catalyst. I was an enabler to the power of the mind of the people who were watching me. I'm going to sign, where is that spoon? I'm going to sign this here. I'm going to sign it for you. So when you come to Israel,
awesome.
it'll be waiting for you.
Deal. That's awesome. For sure. I mean, this is incredible. I mean, I've seen it's pretty surreal moment for me, obviously, with a decent interest growing up in paranormal, not just psychology, but the paranormal world growing up. And like 15 years ago, it was much harder to come across information and things without the use of the internet like it is today, where you can just type in that word and have a whole bunch of people even just discussing and talking like this.
Yeah.
But you mentioned some stuff that you saw and things that you knew about, obviously, the people that you mentioned, like Edgar Mitchell, Werner von Braun, all these people, and what you knew about UFOs. Let's just really quickly touch on the UFO subject, even more specifically, even deeper, if you can, for what you can say or what you know, the alien subject, because the UFO subject has now become mainstream, whereas I grew up at a time where it was banned from the mainstream media. All of a sudden it became, okay, now it's okay to talk about it, and we obviously don't know what it is. Where the truth lies is impossible for a regular citizen to have any idea what's going on. So what do you know, or what can you convey in the sense that what you know or have seen about what's going on?
Look, the most powerful thing that I've seen, I'll relate to you the story, but throughout my life, since I was a small kid, I believed in extraterrestrial life. I've seen UFOs. I haven't seen aliens then, but I've seen things in the skies that today, people, I mean, you saw the shots from the cockpits of American, fighter pilots screaming, "Oh my God, what is that?" You see UFOs flying in speeds that we have no such technology. Okay, so Edgar Mitchell, the astronaut, was the sixth man to walk on the moon. I become his good friend, and he tells me one day, "Uri, listen, somebody very important in NASA that wants to meet you." So I say, "Okay, who is it?" He says, "His name is Dr. Werner von Braun." I say to Mitchell, "Dr. Werner von Braun, wasn't he a Nazi?" And I Google and I see him standing with Gestapo officers. He was in the Third Reich. The crowd around him are Nazis, but Werner von Braun was a rocket genius. I mean, he built the V2 that took off from Germany, crashed in England, killing 9,000 people. But Kennedy said, no, let's bring these guys into America. Let's use the brains. And I must tell you, Will, I believe that if it wasn't for Dr. Werner von Braun, the Americans would not get on the moon. They would have not walked on the moon. He was a genius. So I say to Mitchell, "Mitch, do you know I'm Jewish? Do you know I'm from Israel? You know, half of my family were murdered by Nazis. You want me to meet Dr. Werner von Braun?" But Will, my curiosity killed me. And I say to Mitchell, "Let's go." That time, I had a small Minox camera that the CIA gave me to spy in Mexico. A small German, tick, and you take photographs.
Yeah.
And I give that camera to my brother-in-law to ship to my brother-in-law. His name is Shippy. And I tell him, "Shippy, listen, when we walk into Werner von Braun's office, you got to snap a picture because nobody will believe me." So we come to a secret base in NASA. We walk into Werner von Braun's office. Shippy takes a picture. Just remind us to send you all these pictures, okay?
Absolutely. Okay. Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
The first thing that Werner von Braun tells me, Uri Geller, I heard about your powers. If you can bend my wedding ring in the palm of my hand, I'll believe in you. So he holds it in his palm. I put my hand over his hand, the ring bends. Then he tells me, "Come with me." Behind him was a door. And that was his private office. Opens the door, ushers me in. We are both alone. There is a safe standing in his office. He bends down, really opens the safe. And inside the safe, I see a piece of metal. I've never seen such a color. He pulls the metal out of the safe. It wasn't heavy at all. And he says to me, "Uri, put your hand on this. Tell me what you feel." So I place my hand on the piece of metal, and I immediately tell him, "This is not from here." He says to me, "You're right. This is a piece of a UFO that crashed on our planet. What? I'm shocked because, I believed in extraterrestrials since I'm a child.
Yeah.
And this guy who puts the Americans on the moon tells me that a UFO crashed on our planet. But wait, that's not the end.
Okay.
Then he tells me, come with me. He takes me out to the car park and I hit Shippy with my elbow. Take a picture. Shippy snaps a picture as we enter his limo. He tells the driver, he says to me, sit next to me. And we sit in the back of his limo. He says to the driver, go. And the driver takes us deep into the base. We come to a concrete building. Nothing is written on the building. There's a soldier at the door. He opens the door, and Werner von Braun leads me down 3 flights. We descend. We come to a corridor, and in the corridor, there are hooks for coats, and there are Antarctica coats hanging there, orange, with a NASA logo. It says, put one on. And he puts one on. So we're bundled up with an Antarctica coat, and then he takes me around the corner, Will, come to a huge metal door, opens the door, and we walk into a refrigerator room, a freezer, and I faint what I see in there. And I think, Will, I don't have to say it in words. I think you know exactly what I've seen there.
Right.
So this is not science fiction. This is real. I mean, unless I was misled myself and they were, they were made from wax. No, it was real.
Right.
And the American government, I believe, still keeps this a secret. I'm sure Obama knows about it. Donald Trump knows about it. Even Benjamin Netanyahu knows about it.
Uh-huh. And that's one of the things that I've always been fascinated with. We had a guy named Dr. Stephen Greer on earlier this year. And he's very deeply, his entire thesis is essentially that all of these government, not all of these government, high officials within government know about certain things based on what our universe is, the reality, types of crafts and crashes and all those things.
Yeah.
And it always fascinates me to think, number one, why does it have to be secret? I mean, I heard your reasoning for why you think it could be kept secret for the government. But if everybody has this ability, if there's all connected in some of this stuff, are the people able to use the powers that you have nefariously in a negative light? Is it just that we don't want someone to be able to do something negatively because they could? And even if that's the case, there's got to be someone else out there like you who isn't kind or doesn't want to be a showman. And so what's the deal?
There was a movie that Robert De Niro played me. It was called Red Lights, something like that. I was actually led, Will, into a scientific laboratory, into a white room. I won't tell you which country it was. And in the room, there was stood a big white living pig. And the scientist looks at me and says, I'm going out for lunch. By the time I come back, I want the pig dead. What? Do you understand what the ramification was? Oh, yeah, stop his heart. Now, I can't do that. I can't. I totally believe in my powers, and they're positive and not negative. But your question is interesting. First of all, even today, I'm really surprised and amazed how I managed to instill spoon bending into world culture. I mean, look at the Matrix. Keanu Reeves learns how to bend a spoon from a child. There are bands like Incubus who mention me in their songs. Woody Allen mentions me in his movies. I mean, it's endless. And so it's world culture. So the powers are used in movies, in TV documentaries, in TV shows. But the negative powers that you are talking about, maybe this energy could be used for evil. I have never seen that done before. There are these things like witchcraft and the voodoo and all kinds of things of that nature. But overall, I believe that these talents, these skills this paranormal energy that we have in our brain, and we use only 10% of our brains, I think it's so pure and positive that we cannot do it for negative reasons. Once I was I was taken to Lawrence Livermore Radiation Labs. Okay, that's in Livermore, in California. And that's where they build nuclear bombs. And the scientists wanted to see if my mind can trigger a nuclear bomb. And then incredible, freaky things started happening in the laboratory. There's a book out called, by the way, if you will allow me to plug my books, my two latest books.
Please.
One is called You Can Have It All. That's my latest book. So just get it on Amazon, because I donate all the proceeds to sick children. I don't live from this. I have enough money. My other book is Learn How to Douse, because we all have talents of dowsing and so on. So why did I bring another book? Annie Jacobson is a Los Angeles writer. She's a Pulitzer nominee, and she wrote a book called Phenomenon. Unbelievable. I urge you also to read that. But this is the book.
Okay.
Please look at it, get it, use your psychic powers to have it all, and learn how to douse, and basically use the world's most powerful search engine, your intuition. All proceeds go to sick children, so reach for Amazon and get it. So going back to negative forces and so on, I could never trigger a nuclear bomb. I could never stop a heart of a pig or a human and so on. But then I'm not a prophet, and I'm not a guru, and I'm not a miracle worker. So maybe some people want to twist this power for evil purposes.
Okay. And then I'm sure that obviously there are stories of people having done this or tried this, and, to some extent. But I'm actually curious, based on the books that you threw there, because this is definitely a podcast where I love to have people on like yourself that are extraordinary, to kind of see what we can glean from you guys in order to be better. I mean, if you've written a book that's Psychic Powers, You Can Have It All. How and what's the thesis behind this, and why does it make it important? Because if you yourself don't train, and your idea and hypothesis is that we have all of this talent within us, every human does, what do you then think about the ability of your mind to manifest things that you want, right? That's kind of a thing that's out there right now. How does that link into psychic powers?
Look, Will, I'm a huge believer. That's what I told the British team who won the championship yesterday. If you can go there with your mind, you can go there with your body. Whatever will you can visualize, you can materialize. There's nothing that you cannot be, do, or have, because you're the architect of your own life. And if you lead a positive life, you don't touch drugs, you don't smoke, you think positive. Every morning you put yourself in an attitude of gratitude when you wake up, then positive things will come to you. You will start attracting amazing, positive elements from the universe. I'm a huge believer in that. So today, my books, spoon bending is, for me, it's trivial. I teach people how to use their positivity, their mental positive attitude to better their lives, to change their lives for the better. When I meet footballers, and gosh, I met everyone. I tell them, before you go out there to run, play a movie in your mind and visualize yourself scoring. Most of these footballers, and I don't want to mention names, but they are world renowned. I mean, you know them all. Everybody knows them, millions of fans.
Yeah.
Positive mental attitude, use your brain power to materialize and manifest things into your life. This is what I'm about today. I get thousands of emails from teenagers. Oh, Mr. Geller, teach us how to bend the spoon. I say, no. Forget spoon bending. Instead, focus at school, become a positive thinker, create a target goal to go to university, don't touch drugs, don't smoke, think of success, and that will change your life. And those are the tiny elements that you can activate your brain power.
I myself definitely know, and I mean, thanks to my dad and mom, in large part, the power of visualizations and the power of belief into what it can do for your life. One of the blind spots that I had growing up is that I understood that power within the realm of football. I understood that if you run a movie in your mind, if you believe in success, you can, you really can, depending on your level of clarity, depending on your level of belief, depending on your level of confidence in those thoughts and gratitude and positivity, you can definitely alter your world. My blind spot definitely growing up was the fact that I, for whatever reason, didn't extend this out into my greater life. I am just an athlete that just wants to play soccer and do all that stuff. So it was foreign to me to think that I could use this.
You're really brilliant, Will. I'm not trying to boost your ego, but you're one of the best presenters because your questions are so eclectic. They are from here and there, and I bet you have what's your following? How many people listen to you?
Well, we've got a big following all over the place because of the varied, eclectic type of guy that I am. So we got 1 million on YouTube on one channel and 100,000 on another YouTube channel, 200,000 on TikTok, maybe.
We'll get the 1 million followers to do the spoon bending. Before we end the show, I'll do the experiment.
Right.
Let me just tell you about the moving the football.
Speaking about football stuff, I also ran into, and I'd run into your name a number of times before, knowing that footballers have reached out to you, that you've been involved with some teams. And I know you've been heavily involved, obviously, with England.
Yeah.
And probably one of the most notable being what happened in the Euro 96. So why don't you tell us what exactly happened?
Okay, I'll tell you, but I just want to read to you what I have written, hold on, for the women's football team who won the championship. So the paper, 5 days before the match, it says energy from Uri. That's from the paper. And it says, Uri Geller says he will send positive energy to the lioness, the girls, the England team ahead of the women's Euro final. The 75-year-old shared the message. England team, you girls are the winners of your country. I will be beaming my positive energy to you on the 31st. Win, win, win. And most of the times that I do this exercise, the team wins. But in Euro 96, this is very interesting. England most of the time beats Scotland. But this time in Euro 96, they were a bit concerned about the Scottish team. So they asked me to help them beat Scotland. What do? They hire a helicopter and I hover around Wembley. Yes. And I can hardly see the footballers. They're this big, but I have headphones. So I hear the match. And suddenly I hear that Gary McAllister, who is a Scottish striker, gets a penalty. Gary McAllister puts the ball down. He starts walking back to take the run to shoot the ball. And I'm in the helicopter. I say, no way, I'm not going to let him score. And when he's running towards the ball to kick the penalty shot, I scream, 1, 2, 3, move! And lo and behold, Will, the ball moves away from his foot. I mean, this is filmed. It's on my website. By the way, and of course, Seaman caught, he missed, and England won.
Yeah.
And I received 11,000 hate letters from Scotland. So, in order for Scottish people to forgive me, I bought a Scottish island. So I'm part Scottish now. But,
okay.
But you see,
that's fair. Yeah.
But this is a great kind of, it's not a scientific experiment, but there is no way you can cheat. There's no way you can move a football in Wembley from a striker's foot. And this is filled. You can see the ball move away. And I've done quite a few things, but then I realized, Will, that, hey, this is unethical. I mean, come on. I
Right.
you can't move away from a footballer's foot with paranormal powers.
Mm.
And that's when I realized that I really did something highly unethical. And I stopped doing that. I'll never do that again.
Yeah, I would freak out if the ball. I mean, I've taken a PK. We have enough nerves as it is, already taking penalty kicks. If the ball moved away at the time, if I had to worry about someone moving it, it would be freaking me out. But with that,
Gary McAllister freaked out, yes. But then we met in many different charities and we hugged and I said, I'm sorry. And so.
Oh, that's cool. I mean, yeah, obviously. I mean, he's competing. It's kind of a new cool thing to have to deal with. But I wanted to talk about two different things, which are also both not related with when we get here now close to the end. But I'm curious. I think I asked, and I'm not remembering when exactly, but the relationship that you have with your powers based on, let's say, precognition and the evidence we have for precognition, for the ability for people to possibly know what's going to happen in the future to some extent. Have you had any, because I don't think that I've heard any truly stories coming from you. Is that part of your experience? And do you seek?
No, Will, I kind of keep away from precognition.
Okay.
I don't do that. I do things that I can prove in a laboratory, that I can prove on a stage, which is really telepathy, psychokinesis, dowsing. I found, for instance, I have a Mexican passport because I found oil for Pemex in Mexico. I found the American government flew me to South Korea to douse for tunnels that North Korea dug, under the ground. So I don't do, but there are people who are very cool with precognition. I want to try with you some telepathy. Obviously,
okay.
I'm not sure it's going to work, but let's try.
All right.
Here we go.
Sure.
Let me grab a Sharpie and I'm going to write. Let me get it to a white page here. I'm going to write here, and I'll keep the book all the time.
Okay.
I'll just turn it away and I'll write a name of a capital city in Europe. Okay?
Okay.
And I'll try to transmit it to you telepathically. Let's see if you get it. Don't close your eyes. I'm writing it. Hold on.
All right.
All
right. I got you. I'll close my eyes.
Very, very plain. I wrote it down. I circled it. And I'm looking at it now. Open your eyes. Look at me.
Okay.
Will. And the book was always in.
Yes.
So I'm going to try to transmit it to you. Simple capital city in Europe. I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to try to transmit it into your mind.
Okay.
I'm going to go like that. So I don't want anybody to think that I'm going to write it afterwards. There's nothing in my hand. I'll tell you what. I'll do it like that. There. So.
Okay.
1. Don't say it yet until
Okay.
Don't say it yet.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, and I'm saying it in my mind telepathically. One more time. 1, 2, 3, and one more time. 1, 2, 3. Did you feel it? Be honest with me. Did you feel any capital city in Europe or not?
I have 2.
Which one did you feel the most?
I'm trying to decipher between them 2.
Okay, one more time. 1, 2, 3. Send it to you. What did you feel the most?
Zagreb.
No. Let me show you what I was passing you.
Or Paris.
Yes, exactly. How did you said it?
I said it.
Yeah.
See, yeah, I told you. Yeah, so that's crazy. Those were the 2. It was Zagreb or Paris.
Paris. There you go.
That's crazy. Okay. All right, there you go.
And again, this is not a trick. Yeah, it's real. You know that one of the CIA agents that tested me, his name is Kit Green. He was in Langley, Virginia. I was in Palo Alto. We're talking about the early 70s. No iPhone, no internet. And he said the scientist in Palo Alto told him, Uri Geller can see things from afar. And Kit Green in Langley, Virginia says, CIA. No, he can't. And the scientists in Palo Alto say, yes, he can. And then he says, okay, Uri, can come on the line. Hello, Uri. Hello, Kit. Okay, and then Kit says, Uri, I'm holding something in my hand. Can you tell me what it is? There's no FaceTime. We're talking about 1974, 75.
Yeah.
Just a black phone. So I concentrate and I tell him, I see scrambled eggs, but I also see the word architectural over the scrambled eggs. And Kit Green freaks out because what he was showing is a cutaway of the brain, which looks from a book that is to do with anatomy. And on that page, Will, with a marker, he wrote architectural because he was preparing for a lecture. So
insane.
Telepathy is real. I mean, that's it.
That's one of the things that I asked Dr. Dean Radin as well, was that he actually explained that there was such a fantastic amount of evidence for telepathy that goes ignored or that gets attacked. And I found that interesting because I've never had any, real telepathic. I've never had any of that experience myself. And so it begs a question also, if this is the case, that we all have these abilities, do you think now that these things right here and the obsession with social media, the distraction of the phone and all those, has that played a role? Because you lived at a time and you were thriving in a time where these weren't so there. Are these affecting our ability to perhaps even know that we have such a power?
Yeah, let me just bring up the drawings of the CIA and other intelligence agencies. Wait, hold on, Geller. See, these are images of telepathy. So you see the bunch of grapes? So one bunch of grapes was drawn by CIA. I was in a shielded room, and the one on the left is my response. This is a kite that a computer drew.
Remote viewing type of?
No, this was pure telepathy. I was in a shielded room.
Okay.
So, and I've done thousands of these drawings. Well, you know what? Maybe not thousands, but at least 1,500 drawings around the world in laboratory controlled conditions. This thing here, I believe, doesn't enhance your brain because it does things for you. You don't know how to spell a word, it comes up spelled for you. You put ways, you want to go somewhere, you don't look at the map anymore. The voice comes up, tells where to go. This is it's not good to develop your brain power. So that answers your question.
Yeah, completely. I mean, obviously, everything can be used as a tool, and it should rest like that as a tool, probably. And that's 100%. I mean, there's no doubt that we found. But it's just funny to link it also to something like these powers.
Because we're coming to the end of the show, I think we already did an hour. Let me do the experiment now in people's homes. Do you remember the one?
Okay, let's do it.
You remember the first one when I asked people to gather their broken watches? Okay, guys, you have your broken watches, broken clocks, broken pocket watches. You brought spoons, bunches of keys, broken telephones. This is what I want you to do now. Although your broken watches are broken, wind them up. If they have a winder, wind them up. If you have broken clocks, wind them up. I'd like you to place all your broken watches in the palm of your hand. Close your hands over it. If you have a spoon and you're sitting next to a computer, put the spoon on the computer or place a spoon somewhere because it might leap off. It might fly around the room. You never know. I've heard all kinds of reports. And this is what I want you to do. On the count of 3, we're all going to say 1, 2, 3, and we're going to shout the word work for the watches. We want these broken timepieces to start ticking. So here we go. 3 times. 1, 2, 3, work. 1, 2, 3, work. And one last time. 1, 2, 3, work. Now, everybody at home, open your hands and look at your watches. Look at the face of your watch. Did the second hand start ticking? Is it moving? If you don't have a second hand, lift the watch or the clock to your ears. Is it ticking? Now, if a spoon bent or a spoon jumped off the computer or something bizarre or strange happened while we did this experiment, how do people let you know?
Oh, I mean, there's a million ways. But guys, if you're watching this on YouTube, which obviously most of you guys who are started off listening, you're going to want to watch this because we've got all the clips and everything attached to it. Go right down below, make a comment on what happened, let us know, tag all the rest of us. And yeah, that would be the easiest way.
Yeah. And of course, just let us know if something happened to you. Don't just write down, oh, nothing happened. I really want to know, and you want to know, Will, from people who actually experience the phenomenon. And anybody who wants to link, to send me messages on Instagram, whatever, you can do that. Many times, if I have the time, I send back a message.
First off, to even let you know, we'll have all of your Instagram, we'll have all that stuff already up on the screen, especially also at the beginning. And we'll have links out to everything. We'll make sure we have all that there. As far as signing off on the thing, I would love to just get your last input and intake for the viewer or the listener, but most likely the viewer based on what we're doing here, on what they can take away from what you've learned. I mean, the amount of years that you've been doing this, what you can take, and then we'll just go like that.
If you want to take away something from me, it's the following. The secret of success is originality. And if you're looking for a bigger thing in your life, bigger job, something more exciting, something that will make you more money, because there's nothing wrong in earning a lot of money. Money is a tool you can help others with. Secret of success is originality. Come up with original stuff. Every day, there are opportunities that pass you by. You have to grab those opportunities. Most people don't see them. So, keep your eyes open. Feel, what am I missing? What can I grab and use? I will repeat it again. Whatever you can visualize, you can materialize. So start visualizing. Use visualization techniques. And most important, believe in yourself. Be hopeful. Be optimistic. Think positive. Don't mingle with negative thinkers. You don't want that in your life. You want the people around you, positive thinkers. And that's the energy. And the last thing I will tell you is this. All humanity, we are all attached to each other with an invisible spiritual thread through which we can transmit the power of love, the power of healing, information, and that's basically it. So every morning, tomorrow, you wake up, put yourself in an attitude of gratitude. And if you're out there as smokers, tomorrow, you're not going to smoke anymore. Look into my eyes. You are going to stop smoking. And if you take drugs, don't do it. Stop it. Look into my eyes. Very important. You are going to get onto a positive, healthy life. And that's from Uri Geller. All right, Will.